You know, it's pretty wild to think that a single idea, written down in a research paper, can literally change the world. But in tech, it happens. And back in 2017, a small group of researchers published a paper that didn't just nudge AI forward, it totally flipped the script on how machines understand language. And it all started with a really bold claim.
So this was the title of the paper. And let me tell you, this wasn't just some catchy phrase. It was a challenge, a declaration. At the time, the entire world of language AI was built on one foundation. And this paper basically said, let's just throw that all out. We think this one idea, attention, is all you're going to need.
Now, to really get why that was so revolutionary, you have to understand the problem they were up against. Before this paper, the top AI models, things like recurrent neural networks or RNNs, they read language pretty much the same way we do, one word at a time, from left to right. It reads word 1, holds it in memory, reads word 2, connects it to word 1, and so on and so on.
And that sounds logical, right? But in practice, it created this massive fundamental bottleneck. For one, it was just slow. You couldn't process word number 20 until you'd gone through the first 19. The paper calls this an inherently sequential nature, and it meant you couldn't use parallel computing to speed things up. And maybe even worse, the AI would kind of forget what it read at the beginning of a long sentence by the time it got to the end. The connection was just too weak.
Okay, so this table from the paper just lays it all out perfectly. Look at the old recurrent models. The number of steps it takes and the distance between words just gets bigger and bigger the longer the sentence is. 20 words, 20 steps. 100 words, 100 steps. But now, look at self-attention. The number of sequential steps is always 1. The path length between any two words, also 1. It doesn't matter how long the sentence is. This is the whole magic trick. A direct, instant connection between every single word and every other word. So this led the researchers to ask a really wild question. What if we just got rid of that one word at a time rule? What if a machine could just look at an entire sentence, all at once, and understand every word in the context of all the others, instantly?
And that was their big idea. They proposed this brand new architecture called the transformer. And its main principle was right there in the title. It completely got rid of that sequential, one-by-one process. Instead, it was built from the ground up on this mechanism called attention, which crucially allowed for massive parallelization. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a total redesign.
So the engine that makes this all possible is called self-attention. And here's a simple way to think about it. For any single word in a sentence, self-attention lets the model look at every other word in that same sentence and figure out how important are you to helping me understand this specific word. It weighs the relevance of everything for everything all at once.
So how does that even work? Well, we can break down this pretty complex math into a simple idea. Imagine every word gets 3 different labels: a query, a key, and a value. The query is like a question the word is asking. The key is like the topic that word represents. And the value is, its actual meaning. So for one word to understand itself, its query asks every other word's key, hey, how much do you relate to me? And based on those answers, it blends together a little bit of everyone's value to create its own, new, super context-aware meaning. It's like every word is having a group chat with the entire sentence at the same time.
So that process is already incredibly powerful. But the researchers thought, why only ask that question from one point of view? A sentence has so many layers, right? There's grammar, there's meaning, there are different relationships. How could one model capture all of that at once?
Their solution was brilliant: multi-head attention. So instead of asking just one type of question, the model asks lots of different types of questions all at the same time, in parallel. You can think of it like this. One attention head is focused on the grammar, while another is figuring out who did what to whom, and maybe a third is just tracking the general topic. By running all these different perspectives at once, the model gets this incredibly rich, layered understanding of the text in a single shot.
Okay, so you put all these pieces together, and that's what gives you the transformer. The big picture is pretty familiar. You've got an encoder that reads the input sentence and a decoder that spits out the output. But the engine driving both of them is that brand new superpowered multi-head self-attention. But wait, hang on a second. If it's reading everything at once, how in the world does it know the order of the words?
The solution to that is just so simple and so clever. Since the model has no built-in idea of sequence, the authors just added another piece of information to each word, a positional encoding. It's basically like stamping each word with its position number, 1, 2, 3, 4. That way, the model gets the contextual meaning from attention, and it knows the original order. It's really the best of both worlds. So, the big question, did all this actually work?
Oh, it worked. It didn't just work, it absolutely dominated. On a standard test for machine translation, the transformer didn't just beat the old record. It shattered it. It jumped over 2.0 blue points, which is a way to measure translation quality. And trust me, in this field, a jump like that is a massive, massive deal.
And here's the real kicker. The paper points out that it got this new record at, and I'm quoting here, a small fraction of the training costs of the models that came before it. Because it could process everything in parallel, it was just unbelievably more efficient. You got much higher quality for way less computer power. It was a total game changer for both performance and efficiency.
And to really put that speed into perspective, that big transformer model that set the new record, it was trained for just 3.5 days on only 8 GPUs. I mean, for a model this good, that was just completely unheard of. It blew the doors wide open for much faster innovation.
Look, it's really hard to overstate the impact of this one paper. It wasn't just another research finding. It kicked off a whole new era of AI. The T in all the tools we're seeing now, like ChatGPT, yep, it stands for transformer. This architecture is the fundamental building block of the AI revolution that we are all living through right now.
So really, the paper leaves us with this powerful question to chew on. What are the limits when a machine is no longer stuck reading word by word, like us? What happens when it can just grasp the entire context of an idea in a single instant? The answer to that, well, it's still unfolding all around us, every single day.